All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the final part. I am very excited because this has just been a really cool app for me to work on. It's one that actually helped me get a job, which I currently work at, and it's a good way to be able to level yourself up as a developer, plus like create something useful, you know? So today is the final step. Today we are gonna go ahead and create the view page and make sure that when we click on a journal entry square, that will take us to the view page where we can actually see our journal entry in full. So let's open up our VS Code and get rolling. Now the first thing we need to do is go to our app.js, and we actually need to create the route to get to our view page. So we're gonna Shift Alt down, and then we're going to type in view, and then we're going to type in capital V-I-E-W, Shift Alt down on line 11 to line 12, and Control D, capital V-I-E-W, and now we need to go ahead and create the file for our view path. First off, wasn't that cool, by the way? Like, again, just working smarter, not harder. And you always hear me talk about the keyboard shortcuts. VS Code is great. Gotta love it. All right, so we're gonna go to open up a new terminal. By the way, make sure your npm run sass is running, your npm run start. We have our server running at npm run dev start. And now we're gonna go ahead and create our view folder. So we're going to cd into our source, and then we're going to make dir, which is view. All right, and then we're gonna cd into our view, and we're gonna touch view.js, CSS, and SCSS. Capital V, and we can see now all those files just got produced there. This is awesome. This is exciting. So let's go into our Vue.js file. Get things started, we're gonna do, this is gonna be a functional component. So we already know how to write these. We got const view. We're gonna do a return of, I don't know, we'll just do a div saying hello. Let's export default view. Perfect. And then in our journal entry square, we need to go ahead and wrap it. We are gonna do a link. And you can see here, it is from React Router DOM. We do want that. We're gonna head and cut it, bring it down here. And we can see it got imported all the way up there. Now in our link, we want to do some attributes. First, we want to, and that's gonna be /VIEW. And just so we can see that this works, we're gonna go ahead, refresh this bad boy, go to our home, and we'll click it. And now we can see we're on our view page with hello. This is so exciting. Man, I hope you guys are like jazzed up too, because it gets my blood flowing, that's for sure. So we can see we're clicking on the journal entry square, and we can even see a hover effect with the mouse, right? We click it, it turns to hello. So that means now we can go ahead and pass more attributes into our view. So we're gonna do a state, and that's gonna be equal to journal. We're going to have a key, and that's going to be equal to our backticks, which is gonna have our index, $index. dash our $date, and then that way this creates a unique key for our journal entry, right, to be able to link to. So a fun little piece of info, when we now hover over this, we can see obviously our cursor is changing, and an anchor tag has been produced, and we can see the anchor tag is the link tag, right? So pretty cool. I think it's awesome. I also just made a quick change here. Let me back up. I wanted to test this out. So I essentially removed our div from our thing, because we can see here what's happening is our div is making our min max rows associated with the height of whatever fills it, right? So I kind of decided to play with removing the div and putting the class name up top. And now we can see, I'll just show you kind of in real time what happens. When I hit save, we can see that it fills these top two. It doesn't fill this one, but that's because we're on more of a mobile view right now, right? And as we get smaller, it kind of just gives priority to the top one. However, now if we go back to regular view, we can see they're all the same size. They are officially, whoops, they are all 350 by 350. And just visually, that's what I want. But we can see here that in the grid, it still is just putting min content on the last row right there. So what I'd recommend is for you to play around with this. Is there a way to make this better? Can you figure that out? What would you do to extend this square so everything's the same? I'm gonna put that on you and make sure you can think for yourself. That's part of developing, is I'll teach you the big stuff and you figure out the small stuff. But yeah, this is really cool. Like, we have our view page, it says hello, and now we'll go ahead and take out all the stuff we're gonna pass to it now. So now that we've done that, we need to go to our view.js, and just real quick, we can see that we're passing our journal as part of our state. And let's go ahead and see what happens if we decide to try and log that. So I'll do state in a string, and then state, save it. Let's go to our app here. We click inspect. We can see state is a weird, like, empty object. Let's go back, click it again and inspect, and it's still an empty object. Well, maybe you might think, let's go ahead and destructure it. So if we add the curly brackets there, this essentially does destructuring. It's the equivalent of doing const state from state, right? This is the equivalent of it. It's just destructuring it for us. Because, like, right, we are passing it in, we should be able to get a hold of it. And I'm sure you can tell by the sound of my voice that I know why this isn't happening, but yeah, we can see state is undefined. This is weird. What's going on? Well, we're using React Router DOM to link to another element. And because we're doing that, we actually need to use a hook from React Router DOM, and that hook is called use location. So I'm gonna do const location equals use, location. I'm gonna hit enter so it imports. And then I'm gonna do const, I'm actually gonna destructure state from location. All right, I'm gonna get rid of it up here in this view. And let's see what happens now. So we're just going to go ahead and refresh. Click the inspect tool. It's undefined. That's okay. Now if I click and inspect, well, that's embarrassing. Nuggets, hang on. And my bad, I forgot the parentheses there. So here we go. Now if we inspect, we can see the state is being passed with the tags, the body, the created, the title. So using use location, we can see here in React Router documentation, this is kind of what it says. It returns the location object that represents the current URL. You can think about it like a use state that returns a new location whenever the URL changes. So essentially, because we're using the link element from React Router DOM, the state is getting stored in location, which we need to grab from React Router's DOM's use location. So now that we have that, we can actually go ahead and finally put things in our page. By the way, I hope you guys might have had a little bit of a chuckle there when I forgot the parentheses. I hope it like helps humanize things a little bit more too, that like, look, even though I've been in the game for so long, like sometimes I make simple errors. You know, it happens. And I think that's something that I hope shows you that it's okay. Stuff happens, errors happen, mistakes happen, and just don't take it too seriously. Okay, so down here in our return, we're gonna go ahead and create a section. Inside there, we're gonna have a div. Inside that, we're gonna have an h2. We'll do an h3. We'll have then an unordered list. And then we'll have a div. Okay. Now, in our unordered list, or I'm sorry, in our h2, we're going to have our title. Our h3 is going to be created. Our unordered list is going to have our tags. And then our div is going to have our body. And when we go to our app, let me close that one, we can see our title, created, tags, body, all there. So that's perfect. Let's go ahead and get everything so it's coming out of the state of the location, and that way we can start injecting them in there, and then we'll go ahead and add the styling. Okay, so first things first, let's create a use state of const journal entry, and we're gonna do set journal entry equals use state. We're gonna make a use effect, which inside that, on every render, it's gonna run once, right? We got the empty array there, and we're going to set our journal entry to state. And actually, we're gonna have state in there because I think it's important to put it in here for the reason that anytime state changes, our view page needs to update. And if we only have it running once, it's probably not going to happen, but it can happen where our view page retains the state and just doesn't update again. So better safe than sorry on this one, since we want to make sure we're getting the correct journal entry. Okay, so let's go back to our journal entry square. We're going to grab our date. We're going to copy that, and we're going to bring it into our Vue.js. We need to import moment, so put a space there, delete the T, hit enter. Now it's there. I think that's the correct one. Yes, we can see on line 1. Perfect. And then we need to grab our tags. So we're going to do const tags equals journal entry dot tags dot map, and then we'll have tag arrow function, and then return. Inside that, we're going to have a list item. Inside that, we're going to have curly bracket tag. And now in the list item, let's give it a class name. We'll do class name of tag-item. And then we need to give it a key, since we're looping through a array. We're going to give it a key of math.floor, math.random times 5. All right, close it out with another parentheses. Right, math.floor, oops, my bad, there we go. So this isn't like the best way to do it because we're doing a math.floor, and let's actually just get rid of math.floor. If we just do math.random times 5, that alone will give us a good random number. Let's just wrap it in parentheses though. And now what we can do is our created, let's put our date here, and our tags, let's go ahead and put our tags there. We'll hit save. Let's see what it looks like. Use state is not defined, journal is not defined. What's going on there? That's right, we need to add use state there. And journal, my apologies, it needs to be journals dot created. Oh, my part, journal entry dot created. And something's still not right. That's okay. We just troubleshoot in live time. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading created. Vue.js line 16. That might be because journal entry is null right now. So go back to our regular app, click there. Nope, something's still wrong. So let's see what data is not getting passed in correctly. Let's go through what I've shown you as my troubleshooting methods. So first things first, obviously it's saying journal entry.create, like it's saying this is undefined. So let me first make sure that state is being defined. And we'll do state. So I can see state is there, so that's good. But now if I go down here and I do log, I'll do entry, journal entry. Let's see what is happening here. So entry is there, so there must be like a race condition happening. Because if I remove that and I refresh, right, we can see something is going on. So I think what we need to do is we need to add a condition. If journal entry is exactly equal to undefined, let's return a div that has waiting inside of it. So what this will give our app time to do is it'll give it time to finish the set state for the journal entry and then re-render. And while it's doing that, journal entry will be undefined. But when we hit save, and just so we can make sure that you can see it happen in real time, So this gives it time to we'll set that there. So right now we can see it's waiting. If we set the journal entry state to waiting, if we put it back to state, that gives it time to just get through everything, and so it can then get through our code. So now we've got it. Our tags doesn't seem to be being produced. Let's see why that is. It's an array. So let's take a look. Oh, it is actually. My apologies. It's just not formatted. So we do have test 1 and test 2, and then we have our body here. So that's exactly what we want. Now what we need to do is get a few other things filled in here. All right, so we can replace our title with curly brackets, journal entry dot title. We can replace our body with curly brackets, journal entry dot body. And now if we go, I went back to the home page. We'll click first entry. We can see our tags are there and our once upon a time in a land far, far away. Yay. I want to illustrate something real quick. Our body is going to have things that we need to take into account. All right, so I went over here to our lorem ipsum generator, and you can simply find that by Googling lorem ipsum generator, blah, 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 click here. It's thinking all of a sudden, there we go. We're gonna go ahead and create a new journal entry because I wanna show you something that's gonna happen to our app. So we're gonna type in lorem ipsum, E-M-I-P-S-U-M, lorem, and then I'm gonna paste this in there. So we can see in our text area, it's formatted. We have, obviously what seems to be an enter, what also seems to be another carriage return or new lines. Let's click create. Create. There we go. So now if we go home, we see this new one pop up. And when we click on it, whoa, what's going on? We see a bunch of stuff here, but it's not formatted at all. And if we inspect it, what does the inspect tool tell us? It doesn't really show that there's any weird things going on. What does it say in our database? Let's go to our journals. We go down here. What does our body say? That's strange. Our body looks like it's being produced properly. Well, I'll tell you what's going on. We, on our end, need to account for things that we can't see. And I had to do some pretty hard searching to identify what this issue was when I was first building the app. There are essentially things called carriage returns or new lines that get inserted but doesn't really get shown. So we actually need to write a function to construct our body. So what we first need to do is we'll do const construct body. That's going to be our regular arrow function. We'll have our const journal body split. And now that's going to equal our journal entry dot body. But we need to split this by a quotes \n, okay? And what \n stands for is essentially new line. And what we're gonna see here, let's go ahead and just console log our journal body split once we do that. But we need to put our construct body down here. Okay. So let's go back to our app. We will hit refresh. Obviously, we see our body is not being constructed yet because we're not returning anything. But if we inspect it, we now see this, this array with 9 items in it. And what we aren't seeing up in the lorem ipsum part is we're not seeing those backward slash ends, those new lines being created. But our array is, our code is, so we can successfully see that, okay, we're producing 8 or 9 indexes where some of them are actually just empty strings. So let's do something with that now. We're gonna go ahead and we'll do const, actually, to make life simple, go up to line 31, Shift Alt down, and rather than call it split, we're gonna call it filter, and we're gonna get rid of this, and we're gonna do dot filter, and entry is arrow function. Entry is not exactly equal to empty quotes. So again, what are we doing here? We're filtering through the array. So at index 0 is where our entry is going to be looking to say, hey, is index 0, that string, is that string equal to empty quotes? If it isn't, return it. If it is, don't return it. And we actually need to do our journal body split. So we can actually get rid of our body there. There we go. And so finally, we will do our final journal body. We need to actually put that in a const. And that's going to equal our journey body filter dot map. Okay, and this one, we're going to put another parentheses where we'll have each index being called entry, but we're also going to pay attention to each index. So we're going to create a paragraph element where it will contain the entry, but its key equals is going to be our index. And we can actually get away with this here because the index will always be unique for this page. Because as we saw, right, we're creating an array. So each index is just going to be unique anyways. And then we are getting rid of all the indexes that have just empty arrays there. And then we're taking the ones that actually have text and we're inserting them into paragraph tags. And then finally, we are going to return our final journal body. So once we do that, now we can see that, awesome, it officially is showing new lines. Carriage returns, to me, that's exciting. I like seeing that. So finally, the last thing we need to do is just add some styling here. So we'll go into our view.scss, and remember, make sure that you have your npm run sass going. And let's go ahead. We'll use our colors, and then we're going to import our page body, as well as import our, actually, I think that's fine. So we'll do .view. Inside that, we're going to include our page body. We'll have our color be colors dot $font dash color. And then let's look at our stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what class names I found for this component. So for our section, our class name is going to be called view. For our div, our class name is going to be called view-container. Our h2 tag is going to have a class name of journal-entry_title. Our h3 is going to have a class name of journal-entry_date. And then I'm going to highlight this because our unordered list is going to have underscore tags, and then our div is going to have underscore body. All right, and make sure you just close out each of those with quotes. So now in our view.scss, let's go ahead and build everything here. So we have our container, okay, which is going to be grid area body. We'll have margin top be 30 pixels. We'll have a display grid. And then our grid template rows, GTR, is going to be 20 pixels, 20 pixels, 0.05 fractional, and then 1 fractional. And then we'll have a gap of 30 pixels. Cool, so what does that look like? Put that to the side there. Nothing yet so far because we need to import our CSS. So import quote capital view.css. Boom. Oops, sorry. So we can see already just doing that tiny bit of work created all this to happen. Let's go ahead and do some more. In our container, we're going to have dot journal-entry, and that is going to have a ampersand underscore body. This is where we're going to have our display grid. We're going to have grid template rows, and that's going to be repeat, and it's going to be auto fit. And we're going to have our min-max. We're going to do min-content, comma, 10 pixels. And then we'll have a gap of, let's do 15 pixels. So if we save that, look at that. We can now see we had to specifically create the gaps for our styling. Obviously, our new line or our carriage return was not the thing that created it. But if we look up here, we can see in our grid that the gap of 15 pixels is this part right here. So that creates like a very visually comforting style here. And you know, the last thing I kind of discovered, I added just a inside the journal entry, inside the body actually. I did do a line height for the paragraphs of 20 pixels. You can see there what it just did. I'll just undo it real quick. Everything here is pretty scrunched together, but if we uncomment it, it just spaces it a little bit further apart, makes it a little bit easier on the eyes. And then this has already been formatted. You know, we got some white space coming here, but that's obviously, whatever. I'm gonna let you figure that out if you wanna go ahead and extend this down. But if we shrink it down to our mobile, we do have a bit of weird padding here that let's go ahead and just take care of that real quick. In our page body, I want to go down here to our media screen and where our 900 pixels is. Let's add some padding here. And I found it to be 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, 10 pixels. And for padding, the pattern goes top, right, bottom, left. Okay, so top, right, top, right, bottom, left. Now, if you only have, which I hope you know this by now, if you only have 2, this will be for top and bottom, and this will be for left and right. If you only have 1, it applies it to everything. So now that we have that, we can see there, it's not so far against the edge of the screen anymore. I might even do top, right, bottom, left. I honestly might do 20 pixels here. And I might do 20 there. Yeah, just to make it a little bit nicer. So look at that. That's everything. So we officially now have a full journal app where you can create new entries. You can search new entries like we do lorem. We hit search. Lorem ipsum's there, and then you can click on it and actually see the full journal entry right there. I hope you enjoyed this, guys, because I had a heck of a time building it, and I hope you learned a lot. That was amazing. Guys, this is the stuff that gets me excited about developing. Being able to have an idea in my head and then just make it, right? That is so exhilarating for me. Now, like I mentioned before, I do have one more video, and that is Dockerizing your React app. It's actually based using this app that we just built. So I'll post that video here. And if you found this valuable, if you made it all the way here, leave a like, leave a subscribe. I really appreciate you all tuning in. And until next time, take care.